across the board, and you're setting records for viewership on Disney+. So that sounds like it might have been some of the goals, but why did you start an animation studio with Marvel 5 years ago?
Well, you know, Marvel's always made animation. It dates back to the 1960s. There were animated Marvel characters on television on Saturday morning. In fact, Iron Man had his first animated show before he even had his first comic book. So animation and Marvel have always been linked together. So when the opportunity, came about to make more shows for Disney Plus, of course we're going to do animation.
It's been so good. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, now we got to talk about the future. Where do you want to see Marvel animation go next?
Well, one thing that's amazing about animation is how limitless it is. So we really get to create a style for each show that speaks to that particular story. We won't ever have, I think, a Marvel house style. We'll have a style based on whatever the filmmaker's vision is. So that's going to allow us to go to unexpected, amazing corners of the Marvel universe, and really, I think, embrace all the different styles of art that Marvel has had over its 80-year history.
Okay, we've talked a little bit. Can we watch a little bit? That was my God. How was that? Brad, was it? I think I saw some X-Men '97 season 2 in there.
Yeah, those are. The paint is still wet on those shots.
But we had to give you a sneak peek.
As a fan myself, I have just loved recapping, discussing, watching, experiencing X-Men '97. It brought back my favorite team from my childhood. The X-Men are back, man. For all new adventures, it's so cool to see, and you guys left us with a cliffhanger.
We did?
Keep your secrets. But how much fun was it to tap back into these beloved characters that have such an avid, passionate fan base?
I can't believe that it's real life. If I could go back in time and tell a 10-year-old me that one day I'd be able to work with the actual X-Men, the actual people who I grew up watching on screen, I wouldn't have believed it. It really was a dream come true.
You're doing it. How long does development take on a series like this? And I'd love to hear, were there any lessons you learned from season 1 that you got to take with you into season 2 and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, you're always learning. Every project you make, we're learning how to do new things and use new technologies. And every creator you work with brings a point of view to the table that influences you and changes you. So there's always lessons learned. Season 2 is no different. We were able to judge, what people responded to, what they didn't respond to, and I think built something really special.
We responded. I would love to hear, at what point when you were working on season 1 did it start to set in that you guys were really making something special?
I think the first time I heard George's voice as Beast was the moment when I literally started crying in my office hearing just his voice over the animatic. And then as the rest of the cast, started recording, it became more real, and I knew we were holding a royal flush.
Yeah, it is exactly that. As a comics fan, it's cool to see such incredible source material adapted the way you guys are doing it on X-Men '97. Are there any comics, is there anything about the source material that you guys like, it's off limits, we can't do that? Or is it just, you can take any of it and say, we're doing it?
I mean, one of the challenges on that show in particular was, how limitless everything was. The entire history of comics at your fingertips. The fact that we were in a separate universe adjacent to the MCU. The fact that we had all this technology they didn't have at the time when they made the original show. So we actually had to put limiters on ourselves in terms of how we told the stories and what stories we chose to tell.
So are there any characters that you still hope to see in future episodes of X-Men '97?
Yes, there are.
I can tell, you just mentioned the story from your office, I can tell how much, I don't think the show would be so good if the people behind it didn't care as much as you do. So I would love to hear from you. What do the X-Men mean to you?
Well, for me, the X-Men were the first piece of superhero anything that I watched as a kid. I started collecting comic books. I started collecting X-Men comic books because of the animated series, which was my gateway into comics in general. And that show did what I think all comic books did for me as a preteen and a teen, which was kind of let me know that I wasn't alone, that the ideas I had in my head were other people had them too, and we're able to explore these big, iconic, bold stories. So if we can achieve anything like that, we've done our job.
So growing up loving them, were there any characters that you were particularly excited to get an opportunity to bring back?
Well, I mean, bringing back Rogue, bringing back Wolverine, that was a dream come true.
I think it would be really cool if Rogue and Wolverine were like here today.
Should we bring them back right now?
I mean, what was the reason? There we go. Please welcome the North Side, the voice of Rogue.
Well, hey there, Suga.
And Cal Dodd, the voice of Wolverine.
Hi, gang.
How cool is this?
Well, hey there, Suga. How you doing? How y'all doing?
Am I standing the whole time? Am I not sitting down for the next hour? I'll see you there.
Come on, Cal. Come on out here.
Get back up here, bub.
Where's my mark?
Do you, having lived with these characters, do you have a favorite moment from the X-Men series that you've been a part of?
Too many. Like for Wolverine, you mean? Like a favorite
Sure.
moment of X-Men '97?
Or a whole? I mean,
Or the original.
A favorite moment?
Yeah.
Like I said, there's just too many. In X-Men '97, one of the favorite moments was, I guess Wolverine gets very funny lines most of the time, and it was one word that he said that Jean's pregnant, and she's like, he's here. We're like, who? Apocalypse or whatever. and Jean says, no, you numbskull, the baby. And this is his big line. Wolverine thought all day for a while. He's like, oh crap. And that's but there are many moments of Wolverines.
Yeah. Lenore, what about you?
Well, X-Men '97, there's quite a few. Episode 5, Suga, I Can't Feel You, was one of my moments that I really will never forget. I will remember it. But in the original show, I have to say, The Cure is one of my favorite episodes, because that's when Rogue decides that she wants to get rid of her superpowers because they're just too painful for her, and they make her not be able to be intimate with anyone or be close to anyone, and so she thinks she wants to get rid of them so she can be normal, quote unquote. But she realizes that it's actually those things about her that make her unique and who she is, and she has to embrace all those parts of herself. And at the very end of the episode, anyone who has seen that show might remember when she says, I reckon I am my powers and the good they can do, and I reckon I can live with that. And then she says, there ain't no cure for who you are. And I would add, nor should there be.
And Brandon, in my audition for the role, this is the first line that I said, trying to be just coming up with a voice for Wolverine in 1992. And then because I didn't know any of the characters or anything about the X-Men, I said, so who am I saying this line to? And they said, Sabretooth. I said, Sabretooth? And I'm Wolverine? Is this an animal cartoon? No. Seriously, I said that. Anyway, when we figured it all out, they said, okay, you ready to go? And I said, sure. And this is the first line that I read. I'll rank you egg-sucking piece of gutter trash. You always like pushing around people shorter than you. Well, I'm shorter. Try pushing me. Ah! And they hit the floor and it's like, okay, bye. And then simple lines like, again, like, oh crap. But in the very first episode, because we never knew what our characters looked like until you guys saw it on Halloween 1992. And I looked and wow, I like this guy. He's very cool. And then he's like tough and the adamantium everyone claws, and he's out. They're all out looking for Jubilee, who's just arrived at the thing. She's out. She's lost. So they're all over there looking for them. And typically Wolverine's by himself, of all places, up a tree. And they're all like, and he says, "Boy, you sure make a lot of noise." And he jumps down to the ground. And Storm said, Did you find the girl?" And Wolverine says, "No, the trail went cold outside the house. Got bit by a dog too." What? Got bit by a dog too? And I'm going, oh, this guy's very complicated. He has a huge heart, and he's just looking for someone, and in case anyone cares, I got bit by a dog too. Yeah, you're adamantium and claws. That kind of, I loved him for that reason.
Lenore, you were telling me you kind of willed this return into existence, and I think that's such a fun story. And I want to hear more of it.
Well, we had not seen each other for many years after X-Men, the original show, ended. And so about 25 years later, we were invited to Texas to do a Comic-Con for the first time. And it was great. Yeah, we had a wonderful time, and Wolverine and I were there, and the Leewalds were there. Beast was there. And we all, Larry Houston, so we went out for dinner the final night, and we said, man, it's so nice to be here working together, or being here together, getting to know each other. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody was to buy the rights to the X-Men and reboot the series and bring us all back again? So we said, well, let's have a drink to that, and we'll put it out there to the universe. This is what we want to happen. And then a few years later, lo and behold,
you took over.
Thank you, Disney and Marvel.
Demanded it.
Amazing.
Yes.
So,
Very grateful.
we love looking ahead. What are you most excited for fans to experience with Wolverine and with Rogue when we get to feast our eyes on X-Men 97 Season 2?
Well, I think all I want to say about that is that Rogue is on the hero's journey. Anyone who knows what the hero's journey knows that you go through a lot of trials and tribulations to try and get to, the golden apple or whatever it is that you're really desiring. So she's on a mission, and she's not going to give up until she gets what she wants. So I'm going to leave it at that.
That's typical.
Of course.
I just, I'm so happy that they're bringing Bishop back into the whole mix. It's Bishop and Wolverine are Wolverine doesn't get along with a lot of people, but Bishop was one, even though he's a time traveler. And the episode where the two of them are traveling like crazy, and Wolverine's like, he was Bishop dragged him everywhere and told him, "Shut up, old man." "No, shut up, old man." He's like, "You know nothing, rookie." And he would just hang on, and they'd be going to the future or the past or whatever. And Wolverine's like, finally, his signal that he's to go into the future or whatever says, or the past, starts buzzing again, and Wolverine says, "What's up, rookie? Someone in the future stealing your car?" And that thing, but Bishop's back now, which is, I'm just, I like Bishop, the character, so I'm looking forward to that, and looking forward to what happens to Wolverine, because all hell broke loose, and I don't even know what's happening with him. So
They
we'll
don't
do
tell
that
us
together.
anything.
All right. I know everybody here cannot wait to see X-Men 97 Season 2. I want to thank you, Brad,
Thank you.
for kicking us off with that early look at everything Marvel Animation has worked on. Thank you, Cal and Lenore, for joining us out here at D23. I can't wait to hear your performances again in Season 2.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the show.
That was cool. The series that really kicked off animation from Marvel Studios was What If, which, as announced on the official Marvel podcast, is coming back for a third and final season. Season 3 will traverse new genres with bigger spectacles, original characters, and show the final arc of the Watcher's multiverse-spanning story. And here to talk about what's coming is series executive producer and director Brian Andrews.
What's up, everybody?
Brian, you were the first Marvel animation show, and now you guys are heading into your final season.
We are.
How are you feeling?
It feels pretty amazing. I mean, it was amazing to be asked by Brad to be like, hey man, you want to work on something cool? Yeah, I think so. But to have produced so many stories, told so many stories, played with so many different characters, and seen the fans' reaction, it's been really amazing.
So good. Rolling into the third season, how did the experience you gained through seasons 1 and 2 help you guys craft what you think is a worthy final season in season 3?
Well, I mean, we think it's worthy, but I think the real judge will be the audience if they feel it's worthy. But we love what we have prepared for you guys. But going through season 1, season 2, the one thing that you totally learn is how much the fans love these characters, but also how much they love the stories, and the response to the stories we put out there was so strong. It just gave us plenty of fuel. And I think one of the main things we learned just going into season 3 is that we can take big swings. That the wilder the what if got, and the crazier it seems, the more the audience responds. And this time we're totally doing it. We really play with genre. I saw in the footage, there's some Western stuff going on. There's some stompy robot stuff going on.
Well, listen, let me ask you that. The storylines you're excited about. Can you talk about anything specifically you're excited for the audiences to see this season?
I mean, I could, but that would give too much away. So maybe I should just show you guys some cool stuff.
What If takes the audience across all corners of the Marvel Universe, both known and unknown. But a favorite place fans have been clamoring to return to is Wakanda. In the upcoming event series, Eyes of Wakanda, the audience will dive into the history of Wakanda and the work of generations of warriors that they have done to safeguard dangerous vibranium artifacts across hundreds of years. This 4-part series will introduce new Wakandan warriors and legends and expand the mythos of Marvel's Wakanda. Here to talk about the genesis of the project is series director and executive producer Todd Harris, and series producer and director of Marvel Studios' Black Panther, Ryan Coogler. Welcome to D23. I want to start at the beginning of Eyes of Wakanda. How did this series come together?
That's a funny story. I don't know if you guys know Kevin Feige. So we were sitting around on Infinity War, and I was like, you know, what would be really cool. I love Black Panther because unlike every other superhero, it's a station. It's not a name. So what kind of place makes people like that? You know, Wakanda's basically, if everybody in Sparta went to MIT, those are the people who make the Black Panther. Then we should talk more about that. And not only through that, what were they doing throughout history? And I told, and I was saying, everybody in Wakanda gets a 6-pack. Even the cake baker Wakanda can kill everybody. And that kind of stuck into Kevin's, apparently stuck into his head, and that brought me over to Ryan. And I thought this idea was too good to let go. I pitched it to Ryan, and stuck in his head too, and I kind of gave the same thing, because even if I had nothing to do with it, I think it's a story that should be told. And it kind of grew into what it became.
And Todd's leaving a lot out. He's actually one of the most incredible storyboard artists in the world. Beyond a lot of the action sequences of some of you guys' favorite films, he had a bunch of them in mind. So I was just kind of blown away by his idea and the story, and I know that with him at the helm as a director and as a showrunner, it could be just fantastic. So it's proved to be just that.
You guys are getting an opportunity to introduce so much backstory and lore to Wakanda. Is there anything you can tease about that?
Fortunately, Ryan built a great framework to build backwards from. And so, working with him on Black Panther and a little bit of, as much as I could on Wakanda Forever, because they keep us busy. There's intersection points through history, and there's also intersection points with some unbeknownst characters in the Marvel Universe that also are from secret cities, that also whose name is a title, and they have a glowing fist. So, but yeah, it's a love letter to what a culture can be when they draw a line in the sand about you will not cross here, and we will not go over there, but they're focused on being the best versions of themselves throughout history. But you have your defectors, and you have people who buck the system, and what does that mean to Wakanda, and what does that mean to the world? So those are the kind of things I'm excited to show as we move forward through this series.
These episodes, they take place at very distinct moments in history. That's how I understand it. What was the inspiration in setting the show across various points in time rather than setting the series in one specific point in time?
Opportunity. Who doesn't want to visit some of your favorite intersection points in civilization? Eastern, Western, everything that comes around. So places that mean something to us as a modern culture, and something that means something to us as just citizens of the world, and how Wakanda as its own special pocket of basically Eden, and trying to protect itself from the world and the world from itself, and how we related to one another in the past. You know, it's kind of a lesson to how we relate to each other in the present. And those are the stories that are interesting for me.
Yeah, and the show does a beautiful job of exploring one faction of Wakanda society, the Hatuzarazi, or the War Dogs. And these are the figures who are challenged with the burden of keeping Wakanda a secret. So what Todd has done excellently has gone across history and paid attention to certain characters that actually paid the price for that secrecy.
I want to watch the whole thing right now. We saw a little bit of it in that opening sizzle reel. The art style for Eyes of Wakanda is beautiful, but it's also unlike other animation we're seeing lately. I would love to hear about the choices of that style of animation. Where did that come from?
There's a laundry list of amazing artists that we kind of took from. Our art department's fantastic. So some of it came from very contemporary artists like Ernie Barnes, another African-American artist named Charles Bibb from the 80s and the 70s, and one of my favorite Western illustrators, Dean Cornwell, because the thing that I appreciate about Marvel, more than almost any place I've worked at, is they genuinely appreciate the hand-drawn art that it originates from. And so the painterly feel, the atmosphere, the texture, make it feel like it was done lovingly by hand, was something we were very, very pressed and inspired by to imbue in our work in the show.
It looks so good. I've heard a few things from walking around back there at this show. You know, it might introduce some new characters to the MCU. Are there any MCU newcomers that you're really excited for the fans to get a chance to meet?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That was the benefit of this show, is that we can bring new people. One in particular is the show is full of, I guess you would call Wakanda's version of disruptors. And if you're going to disrupt a culture that's been working quite well for 9,000 years, you better have some good ideas. And one of those characters is someone who was a very elite person in Wakanda who thought outside the box. And she was empowered to protect Wakanda in the outside world. It's a character that I want to introduce to the world called Noni.
Can we take a look?
I think you guys should definitely be Noni.
Your massive thanks and congratulations, Todd Harris and Ryan Coogler. Now, finally, I think no Marvel presentation could be truly complete without talking about Spider-Man. To do just that, we're joined by the head writer and executive producer of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, Jeff Tremble.
Jeff, welcome to D23.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are a Spider-Man superfan, and you came into this very knowledgeable and passionate about the legacy of this character. So, what was sort of the most exciting thing to explore in this world as a fan and a filmmaker?
I mean, I don't have all day to talk about it.
I'm always gonna stop.
You know, I love this character so much. I think we all do. We all love Spider-Man. We all love Peter Parker and the world that he lives in. And for us, the big thing about this show is that we get the opportunity to really dig into who Peter is and how that affects who Spider-Man becomes. So we're going to spend a lot of time with Peter Parker and really like the world around him and really influence who he becomes as a hero, which I think is great. But the other thing is we get to pay homage to everything that's come before us. And as a fan of the comics, as a fan of all the animated series and the films, we get to kind of pull and kind of head back our kind of the things that we really love about the character to make sure that we can give you guys a Spider-Man that feels like the one you know, but maybe not the one you expect, and really play on what you're going to see and make sure that it's an exciting journey for everyone involved.
Obviously, Spider-Man's going to be awesome. But are there any other characters that you're really excited for everybody to get a chance to see?
I mean, there's so many. I almost wish we could show you guys some.
We love seeing stuff! I feel like maybe we could make that happen.
We'll see. Oh, yeah. Looks like a lot. I mean, I'm really excited for you guys to meet. There's some classic characters that we're putting new spins on that I'm excited for you guys to meet. Lonnie Lincoln, Dr. Connors, quite a few. But there's also some new characters that are new to the world of Spider-Man. You may have heard of some of them, like Nico Minoru, Amadeus Cho, and a few other ones that I won't spoil yet, although I think you guys do see a certain horned individual up there. But I think the guys that I'm most excited for you guys to meet are our Peter Parker and our Norman Osborn.
Well, what if we just meet Peter Parker and Norman Osborn? Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
That'd be great.
You guys want to meet Peter Parker and Norman Osborn? They're here today. Please welcome Hudson Tapp's voice of Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, and Academy Award nominee Coleman Domingo, the voice of Norman Osborn.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Hello!
Coleman, my friend, you've been open about wanting to be a Marvel villain for a while now.
Yeah.
Woo! Welcome.
Thank you.
What drew you to the role of Norman Osborn specifically?
Specifically, he is the ultimate supervillain. And also, I'm falling into the footsteps of someone like Willem Dafoe. I mean, good. I mean, right? I mean, and what this man has written is something so interesting when it comes to origin stories. To look at what a person's purpose was and what they were trying to do, and then see them actually fall, grace, when it comes to grace, or excel into supervillain territory. I have no idea. It all depends on the lens that you're looking from.
It sounds like you were kind of familiar with this character before you became it.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
How much did you know about Norman Osborn?
Not a lot. I just loved it. I don't know why I've been drawn to the villains. I don't know what that says about me. I think I'm a good human being, but I do believe that everyone has the power to turn in some way, shape, or form. If you weren't given enough hugs, enough love, enough support, then you can go to the dark side. So I feel like all the villains I've been strangely attracted to, and so to become a part of the Marvel universe as Norman Osborn means everything to me, especially with this guy.
Likewise. Hudson, you first voiced Spider-Man in What If Season 1 for the MCU here.
Yeah.
At the time, did you know there would be a whole show where you get to play Spider-Man?
Well, as you guys know, Marvel is not secretive at all. They just tell you everything up front. I had no idea. It was kind of just a phone call in the middle of the day. I was like, I think you have the wrong guy. And it just kind of happened out of the blue, and it was the most amazing surprise ever.
Oh, it's awesome to have you. Peter and Norman's journey here, it's unique and it explores like almost a what-if scenario where Norman is the mentor to Peter instead of Tony Stark that we saw in the live-action sort of stories there. So what is Norman like as a mentor to Peter, and how does that relationship influence Peter as a hero?
Yeah, I want to hear, Jeff, a little bit. I'm not deflecting, I promise. For me, it's, without getting too much away, I feel like Norman has maybe this a little bit more ominous side to him, and Peter's a little less trusting. But there's still that, respect. There's still Norman's in the space of tech that Peter wants to be, especially when he starts out in the series. But yeah, Jeff, I actually meant to talk to you about this, and I was curious, like, Jeff, how you felt about that too.
Okay.
Like I put him on the spot there?
No, I mean, I think you're right. It's the thing about Peter in the MCU working with Tony Stark is he's learning how to be a hero from someone that has done it, that has lived it, that has become a beloved hero. In our series, Peter's working with Norman, and Norman has good intentions, but Norman has never embodied the hero role the way that Tony has. So they're kind of learning together what it takes to make a successful hero in Peter. And Norman, like we all mentioned, has good intentions, but sometimes the methods in which he is sharing with Peter may not work out in everyone's best interest.
That's a great way to put it.
Couldn't have said it better.
Mic drop.
Spider-Man is just an incredible character that there have been previous iterations of. So I'd love to hear, Hudson, I mean, what do you feel makes this Peter Parker story unique, and how did you find your personal way to approach it and make it your own?
Man, I mean, the reason that I feel like I'm more grateful than anything for this, to be playing this role is, it's at least it was my dream always to, in some way, play a superhero. That's kind of the most childish 11-year-old version of like one day. But Spider-Man specifically, as a man, there were so many coming-of-age moments that really meant a lot to me growing up in every iteration that you've seen in the Spider-Mans, whether it's, the Willem Dafoe and Tobey Maguire, or, any of the Marvel tie-ins. And it's a coming-of-age story of a kid trying to figure it out. So that resonates with me so much. I've been in that position so many times. So it was really cool to be able to do that because I felt those feelings as a person. And this series, I feel like Jeff did such a beautiful job of bringing in enough of where we are at in 2025, I guess, while still keeping the integrity of like who Spider-Man to be, which is like the spazzy, confused, fun-loving, like, what's going on guy with the best intentions. So yeah, I feel like, for me, it was honestly like very easy to tap into that person of like, teenage kid trying to figure life out. That's still Peter,
I can't wait to see it. So, on that note, is there anything else you want to share about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
No, you guys have had enough.
That's enough, right? Yeah.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Don't be greedy.
But I guess, I don't know. You guys have been cool. No one's recording anything, I'm sure. So, yeah, let's see what we can show.
Thank you, congratulations, Jeff Coleman Hudson. Thanks for coming out today. That was so cool. How's that for Marvel Animation? Wow. All right, well, I don't know. I think that might be all. Oh.
Hey, before we go.
I thought I was supposed to wrap this thing up.
No, well, we could wrap it up if you want to, but I kind of want to show one more thing to the audience.
You should show it.
I mean, before we do, I want to bring out Brian Andrews back out here. Brian, he said there would be no Marvel Animation Studios without Brian. He taught me everything I know about animation. I was in kindergarten when I started, and he really taught me how to do all this stuff by making the first season of What If with me. So Brian, this is really, I remember we had that conversation about this concept. I want you to cue it up and tell the audience what they're about to see right now.
How many people remember in season 1 of What If, a little episode that had some zombies? People love their zombies, and apparently so does Brad, and so does Kevin. And they were like, hey man, this episode, we need some more of this action. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. They're like, no, you don't get what I'm saying. We want 4 episodes dedicated to as a sequel to that one episode you showed as its own event. And on top of that, TVMA. Hardcore. So, it's not coming out for a bit, but in honor of the upcoming Halloween season, and yes, Halloween is a season, we brought some stuff and we hope you guys like it.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
For the Marvel Animation presentation, that's our show. Enjoy the rest of D23.
What do you think of making sure you stay awake?